Hey everyone, how's it going? Seafood Dax here with the JKD Files, and today we're going to be talking about Jeet Filipino martial arts, and its connection with HEMA, otherwise known as historical European martial arts. Now, a lot of people would say that Bruce Lee's first art was Wing Chun, and even though that definitely was his second martial art that he took, there's pictures of Bruce as a kid studying swordsmanship with his brother Peter Lee, who would later become a champion fencer. Now, Bruce Lee says that Jeet Kune Do is fencing without the sword, and it's also well documented that Filipino martial arts took a lot from destreza, which is the Spanish martial art when the Spanish invaded the Philippines. Now, a couple years back, I found this really interesting, and I decided to research historical fencing. I first wanted to take up rapier because it was just a really cool sword. It was the sword I saw in all the movies as a kid. Has the big fancy hilt on it, and I bought all the books. You know, I got Capofero, I got Agrippa, and even some Mayer. I started looking into his stuff, and I still use a lot of Agrippa and Capofero today. Even though I eventually moved on from rapier, and I'll talk a little bit. I'm gonna make a separate video about why I decided not to stick with rapier fencing. After rapier, I got into saber, more specifically Hudden stuff. And the Hudden drills, I think, are great. I think any swordsman should learn those. After saber, I got into classical foil. I did that for a while with a guy that was trained in the Martinez Destreza Academy and graduated from there. After foil, I eventually went into epee, and that's the main sword from sport fencing that I really liked. Eventually, with sport fencing, I got tired of certain rule sets and stuff like that, even though I still fence epee and a little saber sometimes. But I got back into historical fencing, and more specifically British military sources such as Roworth with saber and spadroon, and even cutlass, which I think is a great weapon. A couple of differences is that in the Filipino martial arts, they tend to use a lot more of the checking hand. Most likely it's because their swords tend to be shorter. The Filipino swords tend to be the size of a cutlass, whereas European swords tend to be a lot larger, even going up to the big two-handed sword, which is actually the most popular sword in HEMA. And that's another video I'll make as to why I personally don't study the two-handed swordsmanship. So that's one key difference. Another key difference is the footwork. Filipinos, they tend to use a lot of triangular footwork, getting off center line and attacking at an angle, whereas European fencing not always does a lot of forward and back movement, a lot of linear footwork, and finally Spanish fencing studies a lot of circular movement. So me personally, I use all of that depending on the situation. It's really helped me a lot in my sparring sessions. I noticed that it's just like a boxer would combine different angles of attack and different footwork. You want to do the same with your fencing. And now the last difference that I want to get into is because the Spanish outlawed the use of the Filipino swords, the Filipinos eventually got really deep into stick fighting. So some of the techniques that they use, such as the disarms and grappling techniques with a stick, such as choking and even some takedowns and stuff, you just can't use with a sword if you're not wearing armor. So, but it's definitely good to know. Like Bruce Lee says, study a little bit of everything and absorb what is useful. So, all right, guys, that's the first part of the videos with Jeet Kune Do and HEMA. I'll be making some more covering different topics. Hit the like and the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.